Now, this is the Ultimatum South Africa. And Mary, shit went down. And what we're gonna do is analyze that shit. I actually only watched one. I think it was the first season of Ultimatum. And since then, I haven't watched it. I just wasn't really drawn to it. But this one called my name. It called my soul. There was something there that it felt like you need to watch this. Maybe it didn't say I should binge watch all in one, but life has mysterious ways. The show Ultimatum, I think everyone knows what is it about, but in case you haven't watched it ever, it's a couple being on the verge of, breaking up or tying the knot, which always sounds very right. One of the partners wants to get married and is sick of waiting for the other person to take that decision, while the other person keeps on delaying that proposal and have their own doubts about marriage itself or the person. So the best solution is let's go into the show and decide once and for all. The show also allows us to, mingle with other people so we can kind of see if maybe the problem is that we are the problem, like the relationship is the problem. That's why we're not getting married, which is that even possible? Yes, it is. I'm going to be very honest. The first time that I heard about this concept, I was like, yes, makes total sense for idiots. That's it. This time, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit soft for it in sense of I can see or understand better why some people would choose to go on a show to kind of figure out their relationship and so on. Apart from the exposure and people, getting much more out of it, I think that's a huge part of it, like money, the opportunities, and so on. I think it gives the possibility of testing out someone else or trying or stepping out of the relationship in a safe environment, in a safe, controlled environment. That's how I'm trying to think of it, though it's also possible that this is all scripted, a lie, actors. And if that's the case, kudos to them. They are serving us, okay? Also, before going into everything, I just want to make sure that you know that this is a fun way of, just analyzing relationships and people that put themselves on TV. Now, are they acting like Big and Carrie, or are they real people who expose their relationships? Does it matter? I'm just someone who likes to watch it and then who likes to talk about it and being all smart about how things are, okay? How I can see beyond. But it's all in good fun. No hate to anyone, okay? Also because all of us live in a little bit of a Delulu land at one point of our lives, okay? Maybe in multiple points. So, the first couple is also the most boring couple, to be honest. It's Aidan and Courtney. They are around 29 years old. I'm not sure how old is she. I forgot to put it down. But they've been together for 7 years. And Courtney is giving an ultimatum. She knows what she wants. She knows that she wants to marry Aidan. And she's just kind of, sick of waiting. She doesn't like how indecisive Aidan is because according to her, but also to him, all of this, should we get married? Should we not getting married? Or him not being really able or bringing himself to propose is because he is very indecisive. He doesn't have the best examples of marriages. So he really sees it as something that, it's a difficult thing, but also it's much easier to break up than to get a divorce. So we see that he's all about fears around the marriage. While Courtney is like, look, man, I know what I want. We've been together for 7 years and I get your fears, but I want to push you a little bit. I want for you to come to a place where you need to make a decision because this indecisiveness is not working for me anymore. Okay. I need to put my foot down if we actually want to move forward in some way. During the show, we learned that Aidan seems to not have a job and he doesn't contribute financially. And that is one of the reasons that he is struggling to get into a marriage. While Courtney, although she is craving stability, it seems like the stability she is craving is more, I know that we are in this together and we are getting married, doesn't Doesn't matter if right now you are not financially stable or you don't have a job, you're not contributing in that way. I just need to have a sense of stability in some way. The second couple is Kanya and Nakateko. Nakateko and Kanya are in their 30s, and it seems that Kanya is around 4 years older than Nakateko. Now, she is giving the ultimatum. Their story is kind of interesting. Okay, it's the first sprinkle of, what does this actually mean? So here's the thing. Apparently, Kanya wasn't really into Nakateko from the beginning. He wasn't really her type, but he was persistent and they kind of were developing the connection until he became her type. Further down the episode, we actually learned that Nakateko was the one who started to mention marriage to Kanya, but then Kanya is the one who is giving the ultimatum. Because despite him talking about marriage, he's not doing anything. And they've been together for 2 years. Her perspective is very simple. If you are planning to take me off the market, then take me off the market officially. Nakateko, on the other hand, doesn't feel like he is ready to take her off the market officially because there are things that they need to work on. One of the problems that he expresses is that he doesn't really feel like she sees him as good enough. My mind goes to, well, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you are someone who is pursuing a person that is clearly not that into you, but you keep on trying to prove to them how you are good enough until they cave in and see your charm and are all swept away, don't you think that a part of you will keep on being in that mindset and that worry and that fear? Are you actually good enough? Which makes me believe that he's struggling with the dilemma between is she with me because of me or because I was so persistent? That's one side. On the other side is ego. It's a typical ego thing. Oh, you, beautiful lady, are not that interested into me? Well, let me show you how I am worthy of you. So by the time that he got her, he's like, now I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not saying that this is how every time these things happens, but sometimes it can play out in that way. To me, it seems that both of them were playing on the special and good enough card. From his side, he wanted to prove himself to her, to be accepted by her, to get that I'm the special one who made his way for her to accept him, while from her side, she's playing into the same, let's say, aspect. Make me feel special enough. Even though I'm not interested, you kept on showing me how good I am. Now, I watched the whole show already, apart from the reunion, because it wasn't released yet, so not my fault. That's worrying. And it does seem that Kanya is someone who has this exterior or has this, you need to prove to me that you are good enough for me to accept you. I don't fall for gimmicks. I don't fall for lies, like all this attitude. So it kind of makes me believe that he probably was very good at charming her. She opened up to him. She saw him as, someone who actually appreciates her. But when he pulled back by not wanting now to marry her, now makes her feel even more guarded and more like he's all talk. I don't trust this. This is fake. But not strong enough for her to let him go. She still kind of gave him the ultimatum to want to get married. Now, the next couple we go into is Tabi and Genesis. So they are 27 years old and they are the university sweethearts. They've been together for 7 years and Tabi is kind of like, man, you need to put that ring on the finger. We need to get married. While Genesis, he's a bit hesitant because financially it's not that easy to get married. So in their culture, he is expected to pay lobola, which is like a set pay to her family for taking her to be his wife. So he's saying that's the problem. But Tabi is a bit sus about that because apparently he is able to save money to buy whatever he wants, but he is just not able to save money for the marriage. And she feels like it's an excuse. He's probably taking her a little bit for granted, is comfortable in this relationship, and nothing is really pushing him to take that decision. So that's why she's like, boy, I'm giving you an ultimatum. We also kind of find out how they actually started dating, and they were at university, as mentioned, and he kept on looking at her to the point where Tabi felt like, okay, I need to go up to this guy and like ask what's up, which then prompted him to ask for a number and take her out, and the rest is history, right? But it does give us a glimpse into the fact that Genesis seems to be a bit of a passive guy. So it kind of makes sense also the whole marriage thing. They've been together for 7 years and he's the one who keeps on, prolonging it, not doing anything about it. They kind of share why did they fell in love with each other. And Genesis says that she is very bubbly, beautiful, and a kind, good person, while Tabi really appreciates how patient he is. It felt kind of funny. The next couple is my favorite couple of the show. I mean, they are like, I'm like, oh, they're so cute. Nola and Lebo. Yes, I've been lying. The worst couple ever. So Nola is 34 years old and Lebo is 26. They've been together for 1.5 years and she's the one who issued the ultimatum. Nola loves that Lebo is a kind, smart, very smart person, and she just has a good heart. While Lebo loves the fact that he is supportive of everything that she does. But there is a problem. The problem is that he is a poor communicator and he is a flirt. Now, according to him, he's just being friendly. I know, I know, I know. Okay, but let's take a breath. I'm telling you, he's not that bad, okay? He's worse. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, in true fashion of, when insecurities enter the relationship, Nola takes a clear stand. What would work for him would be if she would just stop with all these insecurities. Okay? It's enough, woman. You're insecure. That's your problem. I don't want to hear la 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 la. While according to Lebo, she would not have the insecurities if he would change. Look, if someone doesn't help you with your insecurities, makes them even worse, doesn't even offer any space for you to actually recover, no, it's not the right match. There's not enough maturity to go through that. Both of you need to be aware of those problems and challenges regarding, for example, insecurity, and both of you need to work on it. It's not each man for itself, okay? That's not what relationships are about. So for me, that's just whack. But we shouldn't worry because Nola does reassure Lebo. She does have fears that this experience will make him go with another person. And Nola is, he's a one woman man, okay? He is her man. He actually finally realizes that he might lose her. And he realizes that he is not ready to let her go for that evening. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself again. So going into this, her expectations are that he becomes a better communicator. We don't know what is his expectations, nor do we know which planet this guy is from. The next couple is Isaac and Ruth. They are 28 years old, and this was the funniest intro into getting to know a relationship ever. It cracked me up. Isaac and Ruth have been together for 2 years, but their relationship seems to be long distance. And according to Isaac, how much they actually spent together, it could be, 8 months altogether. Now, I wasn't really sure if he meant that for the last 8 months they are actually being together, not long distance, or in 2 years, the amount of time they saw each other is 8 months. I'm not so sure, but let's say that from his perspective, they're not long enough together for him to be sure. Now, Ruth is the one who is giving ultimatum, but she has a very specific reason why is that. It's because she's a little bit sus about this guy. Let me quote her, okay? I can't come where you stay. I don't know who you stay with. I can't meet your family members and I can't call you. I must only text. It's a problem. Yes, Ruth, I would agree. It is a problem. Ruth admits that she actually, initially kind of brought this ultimatum thing to him because she wanted to see if he's going to say no, because she is suspecting that he is not who he say he is. He's probably having another family somewhere. Maybe he's married. There's something sus because the way he is hiding me and the way how we need to tiptoe about how much or when I can contact him tells me that there's something fishy. So she was kind of surprised when he actually said yes. From my perspective, you know what? On one hand, like, it's kind of funny and smart what she did. But on the other hand, it's also a little bit, it did put her in a position that now, because he is not, there's nothing technically wrong with him. He's not married. He's not hiding another family or whatever. Now takes away all the problems that they have. And now she's like more open to actually, go through this process and maybe see if they should get married. Things are a bit weird. I don't know how committed they actually are to one another and how much it's just like, oh, so you don't have a hidden family. Okay, so I guess this is good. Isaac shares that the reason why he hasn't introduced Ruth to his family, or apparently they don't even know about her and things like that, is because he is not sure. Wait, did he say that? He most definitely said that in his culture, when you bring someone home, when you bring a woman home, it is because this is it, right? This is my wife, we're getting married, and he is not ready to do that with Ruth right now. Before continuing, I want to give my 2 cents when it comes to long distance. I've also been long distance for a long time. Also, the relationship that I am in right now kind of started long distance because we lived in different countries. But to me, that doesn't mean that the connection is not as real or as close. In my case, the fact that we were long distance did take away the opportunity to connect physically more, right? Because you are, separated and you need to plan on weekends how to see each other and so on. But on the other hand, it really does give an opportunity to actually get to know that person if you are committed to communication. I would even say that sometimes it gives you more opportunity to actually get to know the person because you are not distracted by the physical. Because when you're physically with someone, the second I don't know, you don't really know what to talk about, or maybe there's some fear of being vulnerable or whatever, it is so easy to fill it with physical things, right? So I would only see that distance is not really real relationship, because how Isaac is saying how he feels, right, is when you're not really building anything distance, like your conversations are short, you're just texting each other now and then I would say, yeah, there's not really anything there, but it's not about the distance. It's because you're not committed to it. I don't know. How do you see this? Would you say being 2 years together with someone, even though there is long distance, that it is enough of a reason to say, I'm not sure about this person? I don't know. It's giving a bit of an excuse. Now we see them having dinner before they separate and they go into this week where they mingle with other people and they need to choose another person that they will spend with the next 3 weeks. Here is where things get a little bit interesting. So she shares with him that she was kind of ready to go into this experiment, but at the same time, seeing all these ladies there, it does make her feel a type of way. She does get a little bit like, what am I getting myself into? And they proceed to talk, and we don't see that much of the conversation. And that's the thing with these edits, because, sometimes, not sometimes, but most of the time, they edit it in a way to make it look like something when it might not be. But we will only go by what we see. Wow, am I a poet? In this conversation, Ruth challenges Isaac again on how she doesn't really get the right answers from him. And if he's not going to give her those answers, that she's going to walk away, right? She's the one that's giving the ultimatum. Isaac to me reacts a little bit sus. Now I'm going to explain why. So instead of addressing that these are real things, like no one knows that we are dating, no one from your family or friends. At least I didn't meet anyone ever. I can only call you at certain times, or not call you, I can only text you. I can never just come and surprise you. Everything is very controlled. This whole relationship is very controlled. Instead of him answering those questions, he just attacks back. And his attack is that how does she think she makes him feel, where when she never asks him about how is his day going or how is he. Like I said, we don't see the full conversation, but it did feel a little bit like I'm avoiding to answer you those questions by now pointing out what your problems are. Which I get. I get when you are in emotion, when you are maybe in a defensive state, you kind of have that approach. But what would be more indicative of that you are actually committed to one another in some way would be if you would answer, reassure about those questions, and then also say, look, on my side, I would really like this and this and this, right, to improve. Why am I saying it like that? It's because it seemed that Ruth was totally caught off guard. How it showed, it was like Ruth is hearing this for the first time. Ruth is hearing for the first time how he is missing these things about her, and that's what makes him unsure. She even states that she feels a little bit ambushed, like she's visibly emotional, she starts crying, that she didn't know that she's making him feel that way. And that's why I'm a little bit sus about this whole conversation, because the fact that he never expressed it to you, but he's expressing it now. And not only that he basically finishes the conversation with, let's not now think about this. Let's just, focus on the experience and blah, blah, blah. It almost feels like he just wanted to hurt her. He just wanted to make her feel bad in some way, because he wanted to deflect the fact that he's not acting really okay, that what he's doing, it's not, it's a bit of a red flag. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. How did you feel from the get-go about Isaac in this whole situation? Now, side note, later on, we also find out that Ruth's friends also never met Isaac. They know him only from the pictures, but she's suspecting that his friends don't even know about her. And the last couple that we are following on this journey are Lindile and Siza. Siza's name, Sizikele. I think it's something like that, but I'm going to call her Siza. Everyone is calling her Siza. She's 29 years old and he is 32. Now, Lindile gave the ultimatum. He gave the ultimatum after 5 or 6 months being together with her, but he actually proposed to her 3 months in. Now, before you get all, what's happening, shaking the world, they've actually known each other for some time. They've been neighbors, and it seems that they were best friends at one point. At least Siza expresses that way, that she could confide in him about everything. And she feels like she lost a friend or best friend since they got into the relationship. Now, the edit was a little bit sus. I don't think anyone would say, oh, I lost a best friend, and being all sad. She probably continued by adding, but I gained a lover or whatever. From his point of view, why he gave the ultimatum is because he feels that he's at a certain age and he knows who he wants to be with, and he wants to surround himself with people that will help him grow. He loves Siza and he just wants to marry her. On the other side, Siza is a little bit more like, I I don't know if I ever want to get married, but even if I want to get married, that would be like later on, 40 or 50 years old. She seems to act more similar as Aiden, more of fear about because of the representations of marriage that she saw in her life. Or I think she was um did her dad left or her mom? I'm not so sure, but she did have challenges with believing that people always leave her. So I think she was kind of, more from that point of view, kind of protecting herself. Now, despite Lindile giving the ultimatum, he does share, I don't know with who exactly. He wants to try with another person because although he wants to marry Caesar, he knows that there are problems or there are things that they need to work on. And, maybe he is just too stuck in this and he's open to actually understand the trial, marriage, and experiment with another person. A week passes and Mary, it is time to mingle. It's basically a week where they are getting to know other people in order to then make a choice who would be their trial partner, trial marriage partner. There are a couple of things that happen that are a little bit like, whoop, let's start with Nola. Okay, let's start with our one woman man who's just a kind person, calling people sweethearts, calling ladies babies, and being flirtatious through and through. This man, people, this man is, if you ever seen a definition of a player, of a liar, okay, if you want to learn, just watch. What? Observe Nola. Allegedly. Should I say things to protect me from all of this? Am I gonna be like how do you say, sued for defamation? This is all according to Netflix. Okay, you should take it up with them. They're editing it in this way. Maybe you're a great guy. I don't know. Maybe you're an actor. So allegedly, he's not the best guy. He completely checked out of his relationship. I don't think he went into this even thinking that this is about them growing, blah, blah, blah. I think he went into this thinking, I'm free, I'm single, I can be with someone else, and I can still get back with my ex. I think he's taking this as a vacation, as a free pass vacation. Because the way he's talking with these other ladies, he's talking to Tabi about how they will choose each other as a, trial marriage and how he will give her foot massage every day. He's talking to Ruth and he's already asking her about how she would feel being Mrs. his last name. I don't even remember what it was. It is clear that he's not in this experiment of the ultimatum, but he's just dating again. He's trying to get with someone. This is so awkward, I really love my ex in this case and I'm trying to no, he's out dating people. There is no inch, no, zero, nada, no indication that he is in this to try to understand what he can improve in his relationship. In my personal opinion, this is the example of someone getting into the show because they can do whatever they can do, but no one can say anything because it's a show, it's an experiment. It feels like you can be a douche, but also you cannot get called on it because isn't that what we signed up for? At one point, he's even sitting between his ex and another lady. And he literally flirts with the other lady, offers her to, refill her drinks while totally ignoring his ex. I mean, the disrespect was crazy and an indication who he is as a guy. Like, that's the thing. We can be all shocked about, oh my God, how he's acting and blah, blah, blah. But that's who he is. He is that guy. Like, if a guy tells you that he's being flirty because he's just friendly and that's how he is and blah, 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 just accept that he's like that and walk away. Just do. No place for you there. When it comes to Lebo herself, why is she even in this relationship? I don't know. She doesn't really express anything where I could then say, this tells me that maybe she's thinking blah, blah, blah. They don't really show much. What they do show is that there's clear differentiation in the expectation, while she's going into this experiment expecting that the two of them would kind of come out better because he's going to learn some things about certain things and she's gonna learn. On his side, he is just excited that he can be with someone else. That's it. Which is basically confirmed by the fact that his actions she sees as disrespect because she's not expecting him to just be all, into other women. So she's like, what the fuck? While his perception is, why is she mad? Like, she brought me here. I'm supposed to be like that with other people. So I don't really understand why is she being unfair. It's clear that they have totally different expectations of coming into this show. And later down the line, we also find out that they didn't set any boundaries. At one point, Lebo says that she wishes she would set boundaries with Nola. What does it mean going into this show? Again, a good relationship? I don't think so, but you do you. Another thing that I really didn't appreciate from him, I mean, as though there could be more things, but is the fact that he was kind of shit talking about her to other people, not so much directly, but the fact that she got upset when he was, disrespecting her like that in front of other people or being so flirtatious with other people. He would say like, "Oh, she wants to say but she doesn't say it." It's baffling to me that you are talking against or gossiping almost about your ex to someone totally new. Like that to me is a clear indication that he has zero respect for this woman. And to be honest, if I was one of those ladies that he would be flirting like me with me like that or talking about her in that way, I would not entertain it at all. It would be clear that this man does not matter who's gonna be with him, he's gonna act the same way because that's his core. There was a point where Lebo said that she feels that Nola is doing this on purpose just for her to, to mess with her in some way. I would say he doesn't care. I would say that he literally doesn't care. He doesn't even acknowledge that she's there. On the other hand, if that is the case, that he's doing it on purpose, it is such a manipulative thing because he is then not allowing her to actually immerse herself into the experiment. She is now more worried and thinking about what is he doing rather than focusing on herself. It would be so nice to actually allow the other person to get into the experiment in a way where you're not trying to trigger them by your own behavior. You're not trying to make them jealous. You're not trying to make them confused. But you do your thing, not in front of the other person, and the other person does the same, which allows both of you to feel a bit more comfortable getting to know other people. That's what was missing in a couple of these couples. And I would say that was Nola and Lebo for sure, and also Isaac and Ruth. Because Ruth is enjoying her time with Nola. Ruth is one of the people that Nola is totally all over her, and she is eating it up. She's like, yes, oh, you want me to be Mrs. blah, blah, blah. Am I your dream? Oh my God, he makes me laugh. He makes me this. He makes me, ha, ha, ha. This is so cute. You also have problems, okay? Now, if I go deeper into the whole Ruth situation, like I said, Ruth is having the time of her life. Like, she's having fun. Also, in her solo interview, she says that she doesn't care about anything. She's here to have fun, and that's it. It almost feels like she also clocked out of the relationship from Isaac. Again, it is a bit confusing because it seems like they ended on a bad note, but not really. Then later on, we also find out that she wanted to talk with Isaac. She was feeling bad, but he didn't want to. So there's a lot of things that the show didn't show us that kind of pop out later on. So I'm not really sure what was happening there, how justifiable it is that she doesn't care about Isaac. But right now, the situation is that she's having fun and Isaac is not having it, okay? He cannot swallow it. He cannot accept the fact that she is having so much fun, which it's a tricky situation, okay? It's a very tricky situation. On one hand, again, it feels that his agenda is just, let's not make her have fun. Like, I hate that she's having fun because he himself is not really connecting that much with other people. On the other hand, again, Ruth being all loud and all of these, it's again thing with Nola and Leb. She's making it more difficult for Isaac to actually connect and immerse himself in the experiment because if your ex is there being all ta ta ta, it's like, okay, how can you even now think about someone else? So it can be both ways. In this small moment, we also find out that Nola is a pick me guy. Yes, those do exist. Because when Ruth shares with Nola that she feels like Isaac is acting childish, Nola's response is, yes, he's so immature, or something like that. Basically, she agrees with her. I mean, wow, aren't you a doll or a Ken? All in all, it is clear Ruth and Nola are getting it on. Like, they love each other's company. They keep on laughing, they keep on giggling. I myself see it that he just knows how to make her feel good. Like, he's full of words of affirmations. I think that's her love language. He makes her laugh, and I think that's also something that's very important to her, which she also shares a couple of times, how Isaac is not that, he Isaac makes her feel, she needs to dim herself, while with Nola she can be, funny, bubbly, and have a good time. I would honestly say that there's a lot of love bombing happening in this situation from Nola to Ruth, but also she's eating it up. Okay, she's like, tasty. After these first initial mingles and getting to know each other, she even states that, she might be falling for Nola. And at the same time, she does know that if she picks Nola as her trial marriage guy, that would be very risky for her current relationship. So she kind of knows, if I go with him, I know that my relationship with Isaac is over, but maybe I'm not really ready for that. So it's better to stay away from Nola. The question is, did she stay away from Nola? Another couple who has a little bit of a altercation at this mingling party is Tabi and Genesis. The sweethearts, the university sweethearts, where it seems that each ex was talking with their ex at one point, and the only person that didn't talk was Genesis with her ex, and that basically hurt her. Now, from his side, the reasoning is that he really wants to disconnect and immerse himself in the experiment with the another person, so he can actually see if he wants to continue the relationship with Tabi or not, like, or how to improve himself to be better in a relationship. While Tabi, on the other hand, feels like she's been rejected. I think she even uses that word. The fact that he didn't even want to talk to her, and that really hurts her, to the point that she, steps out. She's crying. Aiden comes to comfort her, and yeah, that's basically it from that side. While Genesis is really having fun, he's connecting with Courtney, he's connecting with Ruth, and he's just, really into the experiment. Again, it's a very tricky situation when you decide to go on these type of shows. Like, what are the agreements before, and how many of those agreements you didn't have because you don't even know what to expect, and then going into it you're like, fuck, I should have talked about this. I mean, I'm not really cool with this, but it is what it is. To finish the mingling before they make their choice, let's talk about how Kanya and Nakateko were in this session, getting to know each other. So we see that Nakateko is very charming. He gets along with everyone, and he feels like mellow, kind, knows what he's a good talker, which is something that Kanya expresses often. And that's why she also has a little, you know, uh, she doesn't trust him that much because she knows he's a good talker. Now, Kanya is, again, I do not know if this is the edit, but this person seems so dry in her conversations. Like, there were so many clips about how she's an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. Yes. It seems that she's very bored with all the guys, which she also states in a solo interview. She also says that everyone is like 6 and 7. And it really does feel that she's positioned herself as better than everyone else. And now she's just waiting for other people to kind of come impress her, swoo her. So it's not like, let's both share each other and let's both try to, kind of get to know each other. It's more, her stance is more, I'm me and now you need to prove to me. I don't need to do anything. Okay. I'm probably already out of your league. So we also hear her saying she doesn't like liars. She doesn't like when people are like gimmicky and all like fake. She's not about that. And I think that's a clear indication of someone who is constantly paranoid and afraid of being played, of being manipulated, of being taken for a dumb or stupid. That's her attitude. That's why she's always having this position of, you need to prove me that you are good enough for me to even open and give you something. I would always recommend that even though you get hurt, even though you get betrayed, as difficult as it is, do not close yourself off. Do not start being mean to other people as a way to protect yourself, because you're not really doing anything but closing yourself off from life, which it looks like Kanya is doing that. At least from my perspective, she's the type of person that is closed off. She wants other people to prove her that they are worthy enough to open. And that to me says that she just took the wrong direction. Okay. She just took the direction of I have the right to be mad and want things from other people. And that's it, which no one has that right. Okay. Nah. Through the whole mingling session or getting to know other people, Kanya has her eye on Nakateko all the time. Like, she's all the time observing what he is doing, which tells me that her perceived confidence in who she is, her perceived attitude, or putting herself above other people and how everyone is like or boring or not, a 6 and a 7, is not real. It's not based on a solid, confident, trusting yourself foundation, but it's based on an illusion that keeps her protected. But at the same time, she constantly needs to be paranoid and look and evaluate and make sure, because she's not really confident about it, because she's truly scared about being played, being manipulated, or taken advantage of. And the thing is that true confidence says, you know what, even if you do that to me, I'll take care of myself. It says more about you than it says about me. But also, we get a little bit of a flip side, because when she's interacting with Isaac, we see her smile, we see her interact with Isaac. It feels like they are clicking. Now, this makes Nakateko a little bit butthurt. So he takes her away from when, they are kind of all together, and he's like, okay, come with me, let's talk. Where he expresses that he's feeling hurt when he sees her interacting with other people, and that basically he loves her. Kanya shuts it down. She shut it down. She called everyone and she's like, button off. Stop yapping and stop talking. Show me some action. I'm done with you talking. I'm done with you. You're a good talker. We know you can talk, but it's time to give me some action. It's time to show me. Get that ring on my finger. And we come to the magical moment, the moment where people choose who they are going to pair with to go into their trial marriage. Again, this is in no particular order, but basically Courtney chooses Genesis. Now, she says in her solo interview that she chose Genesis because she feels that she can grow more in the relationship. And honestly, I feel like it has a lot to do with the fact that she is not here to replace her ex. She is here mainly for him to understand, get to this decision of marrying her. It doesn't look like she's really interested in building anything with anyone else. So she kind of chose a person. It almost feels like a safe choice. Through the whole series, honestly, there's nothing really that happens between Courtney and Genesis. The only thing that they are kind of struggling with is her being very close to the experiment or to him, mainly physically, meaning like they would not kiss each other or hold hands or cuddle or really immerse themselves into this experiment, which it looks like that Genesis wanted to do it, but Courtney didn't. In the same how do you say? In the same fashion, it's exactly what happened with her ex, which is Aidan. And Aidan actually chose Lebo. Now, this selection was not really like that. So Lebo first chose Isaac, but Isaac rejected her. So Lebo then chose Aidan. To me personally, it felt that Aiden just didn't want to hurt Lebo now, even though I think maybe he would connect better with another person, and he also had an eye. Who did he want to connect? Was it? I don't know who it was, which also indicates that for Aiden, that was also almost like a safe choice. I think Courtney and Aiden both entering this show were very clear about what are their expectations. I think they set clear boundaries about one another's behavior, and they both respected that. Also, to the whole series, again, the same as Courtney and Genesis, Lebo and Aiden, it developed nothing than just being friends, just talking a lot, like learning about things, but it never crossed any lines of just being friends, which is the total opposite of the trial couple, Nola and Ruth. People, you know how Ruth was like, Nola can be a tricky situation. Like maybe it's not the best choice if I actually want to work on my relationship with Isaac. Well, that all kind of went down when Isaac was a little bit rude to Ruth at this selection table. I'm not sure what he said, but basically, he made a small remark that pissed Ruth off, and she was like, Bis, I'm choosing Nola, okay? If you are gonna be rude to me, if you're gonna act that way, let me show you who I'm gonna connect. And a connection it was. Ruth and Nola click from the get go. Nola opens up to her and he shares about him never meeting his mom or losing her on his birthday. And I'm gonna be ugh, I feel it was all calculated. You know, when you come across these things, how toxic men or players make you feel like you are special. I think he's studying those books, okay? Not studying to avoid them, to not get caught, but studying as in how to get a woman. Because to me, this looked like the typical let me get very emotional and open so I can make that person feel special and make them trust me. Okay. It didn't feel like we have a genuine conversation and now we're going deep into things and that makes me kind of, open up about certain things. It almost felt like he couldn't wait for her. No, he couldn't wait for him to share with her this. I don't want to say sob story because, it does suck, but it almost felt like he was using it as a sob story, as a story that will make him look very emotional, very open. And you know what? It kind of worked. It totally worked because we even see Ruth thanking him for being so open with her, stating that men usually don't do that. It's very difficult for men to do that. And she is proud of him to the point that they are already being intimate. Not just like, oh my God, it's so awkward. Let's try to kiss, which happened with some of the other couples. They were like, let's get it on. Okay. Not once, not twice. And if you know what I'm talking about, through the whole show they're living as a happy married couple. She's very happy around him, laughing, she appreciates him, she likes when he comes home, she says that she's like following him around like a puppy. And they are totally clocked out of the previous relationships and they're just focusing on themselves. Now from my personal perspective, I would say that Ruth genuinely fell for him. She was acting in her selfish self, let's say. But like I said, we don't really know what went down between Isaac and Ruth, but because it seems that there's something missing, because she keeps on saying how he hurt her. And it looked like, she's like, F Isaac, this is what I'm gonna do. In either case, she's being very selfish also towards Nola's ex. And I didn't like that. On the other hand, I think Nola is he's like, woohoo! I think he's a player. That's it. He's a player and he loves it. I think he was with Ruth because he genuinely, was having fun in the relationship. He was hooking up. He, made her fall for him. That was it. Do I believe that he would actually still continue with Lebo? I kind of do. I really do because it almost felt like for him, it was not about real love and relationship. It was just about getting with someone else. And I don't know if he would actually break up with Lebo, because I guess there is something there that is benefiting him, that Lebo is with him. It didn't feel that he's genuine about his relationship with Ruth, because honestly, it didn't feel that he's genuine about anything, because honestly, he wasn't genuine about anything. Despite these lovebirds living in their fantasy, or especially Ruth living in her fantasy, there is a little crack, a little moment where she gets to see that Nola is not as honest and he is very shady. In some point of events, Lebo and Aiden, as a fun thing to do, they go around and spy at other houses. I don't know how much producers, tell them to do those things and not, because it's a little bit whack. But basically, Lebo then sees Ruth and Nola kind of cuddling in bed together. Now, to remind you, Lebo is with Aiden, but she is having like a totally friendship, kind of friend zone distance. We are in this trial marriage together. We are trying to get to know one another, learn from one another, but there's nothing that we are actually being disrespectful to our exes. We are committed to our exes. So for her, seeing Nola cuddling in bed with Ruth kind of sets her off. Now, when Nola finds out and Ruth kind of see Lebo that she's sitting outside, whole hell breaks loose. And I'm not going to go too deep into it, because what comes out is just that it's clear that Nola is lying. He's a douche. He's self-serving, because he keeps on saying to Lebo that why is she being so upset? They're not doing anything. She should trust the process and blah, blah, blah. Knowing, all of us knowing, him himself knowing, and Ruth standing next to him knowing that they are basically effing. That's what Ruth also clocks. And later on, she calls him out on it. And the whole situation is effed up, because they kind of end the conversation by her saying, "You're a crook, ha 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 ha." And he's like, "Ha ha 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 ha." And that's it. Ha 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 ha. Okay, the next pairing, Siza and Nkateko. So they pair up after Siza is basically, so her selection or her choice was Genesis, but Genesis was chosen by Courtney. She gets kind of upset. There's a lot of emotions around her. She steps out because she kind of lost the guy that she wanted to connect with. I think she felt rejected, which indicates that she doesn't deal well with rejection. And then she basically goes with Nakateko. Now, they get along very well. It looks like they are lovey-dovey with each other. They are all laughs. They are respectful to one another. They are cuddling. It feels like there's this kind of peaceful, loving relationship happening between the two of them through the whole show, which pisses other people off. Now, Kanya also has a little chat with the girls by the pool, where she is very vocal about not seeing Siza and Nakateko, who is her ex, as being a genuine couple. So she sees that all of this is fake. She also says that her ex, Nakateko, is fake. He's a nice guy, but he is fake. I don't know what to think about this. I do not understand how can you say that your ex is a fake person while at the same time you want to marry him. So what is the aim? What is the aim here? Paint him in a bad light so you can, like, I genuinely don't understand. Can someone please help me get out of this dilemma or confusion of what is happening? She is also very, very set on not liking Siza. She doesn't like her. And to me personally, while she is saying that she sees Siza as fake and not genuine, you never know if she's laughing or crying. I think she is a threat to her in some way, a threat of someone who is soft, who is nice, who is. It's almost like Kanye really. Mm, values the fact that she's closed and she doesn't fall for lies and she doesn't fall for gimmicks, right? And she associates that as being powerful and also acting in that way. So if I act cold towards people, if I act towards people that they need to prove to me, that means that I have some kind of power in some way. I don't know if I'm reaching into this, but to me, it does feel like she has such a problem with Caesar because she herself has a lot of difficulties of just being open, vulnerable, or not being on guard all the time. So she feels hate towards someone who is easily soft as a person, let's say. She sees Caesar as attention seeker. She doesn't believe her. She even thinks that Caesar is in competition with her, which is, I think, a lot of projection. At one point, Caesar and Nakateko go out. So here's the setting. Like they have different buildings and each couple lives in this building, but the outside is the same, right? So if one couple goes out, like all of the other people can see them, whatever they're doing. And Akateko and Caesar are basically walking around, hugging, kissing, being all lovey-dovey. And there are a couple of things that happen. And before going into that, I just want to say, I think that's a setup. I think that's a setup from producers. I think that was created for the show in one way or another, because who in the right mind would go out being all lovey-dovey while everyone can see? Like I think it's clearly on purpose. On purpose or not, it did trigger two people, and those people were Kanya. She is totally like, oh my God, they're so fake. They're faking it. Obviously, it's her ex with the woman she doesn't like. And it was also Lindile who felt very upset about the situation. This was the moment where, for me, Lindile got all the red flags, or at least it peeked out that he needs to work on some things. Now, Caesar is his ex, and he gave the ultimatum. So this is the couple that, they were friends before, and then after 3 months, he already gave the ultimatum and blah, blah, blah. Lindile actually saw Caesar and Nakateko outside being all lovey-dovey. It made him very jealous. It made him very upset. But the thing that pissed me off is when he body shamed her. This is a guy that proposed to this woman, and when he sees her interacting with another guy, his reaction is to make fun of how she is heavy for him to be, how do you say, piggyback riding. That was something that came out very unexpected, but also very concerning. Now, he paired with Tabi. They didn't really choose one another. They were just the last couple standing, so they kind of got together. But since the get-go, they've become very, comfortable with one another. They get each other. And it did feel like Tabi was all about him. She really quickly started to feel butterflies with him. She connected with him. She was almost a little bit in love with him, it felt like, while he was taking it a little bit more cautious. Again, it didn't show much, but it almost felt like she is more into him than him developing the same kind of connections towards this new partner. This same moment also made Tabi a little bit upset, because I think this was the moment when she realized that the connection she's feeling towards Lindile is not as strong as what she thought he is also feeling towards her, because he was so upset about Caesar connecting with Nakateko. She was confused. Why are you upset? We also have a connection. There is a little part of me that wants to say this, and it is that these are two people that are coming from two different experiences in the freshness of their relationships. Tabi is someone who is with her ex for 7 years. She gave the ultimatum. And being with someone for 7 years, there is a certain comfort that is developed. And they also talked about, that he became a bit more comfortable and taking her for granted and so on. So when she entered with another guy in a relationship, I think it was very quick for her to feel special and feel motivated and energized again when this guy was showing her, attention, affection, and when they were playing this trial marriage. While on the other hand, you have Lindile, who is in the relationship, so basically being a couple with Caesar only for 5 to 6 months. He is obviously in the honeymoon phase with the other person. So even though he's connecting with Tabi, I think he's not connecting in the same level, despite Tabi thinking this is it. I don't think she realizes that that the way she's feeling does have to do with the fact that her relationship was a little bit more stagnant. And that's why she fell so quickly for another person or for the affection and so on. While he is someone who is really fresh in the other relationship. So obviously he's more focused on that. And to be honest, I think he is also giving her mixed signals. I think this is the reality, right? That he's actually very into Caesar. But it's also the most confusing situation because we do see Lindile being kind of into Tabi, and they are like developing relationship, they da da da. But then on the other side, he's not really into it. So I wonder how much of those mixed signals he's also giving to Tabi. Because even for me, I was a bit confused where's this guy head at? Next pairing, Kanya and Isaac. So Isaac at the end of the day chooses Kanya, and they also start off very romantic, very giggly, very new relationship. Isaac, I think, also kind of went all into this. He's having a good time with her. He's buying her flowers or like surprising her with flowers. And he even introduces her to his cousin and his friends. Yes, you heard that right. He knows Kanya for a week or 2 weeks, I think, and he introduces her to his family members, while Ruth, who he was with 2 years, he doesn't introduce. Now, what does that tell you? Now, to be fair, Kanya is the first one who shows that she has doubts about Isaac because she is having fun with him. Everything is going well. They're cuddling, they're this and that. But she's also kind of a bit suspicious if this is the real him or if he is just, someone who puts all of this effort in at the beginning, but then can he sustain it, right? So she is acting from her typical, I need to protect myself, my suspicious glasses on. Wow, lovely. So they have a conversation where basically it comes down to Isaac asking Kanye, what does she bring to the marriage? Basically asking her, what do you bring to the table? We get the answer of all answers. First of all, she usually doesn't even engage in questions like that. What do I bring to the table? And long story short, she is the table. I know. According to Kanya, when a woman feels safe, secure, appreciated in the environment with her man, she will take care of him naturally. He wouldn't even need to ask her. So the fact that Isaac is asking her, what does she bring to the table? To her, that's like a stupid question because it's about guy treating me well. And then I will by default treat him well. I mean, this is her vibe. This is how she sees relationships. This is how she sees herself. She is convinced that a woman does not have to put any effort up front. The woman is by default good and nurturing and will be good to the guy. And the only problem there ever is a man. And as long as the man will prove himself to women or maybe to her, let's say that she just believes that about her, although I think she has a general belief about that, then she or women in general will be by default good because that's in our nature, right? So many things that are wrong with this mentality and so many things that are so damaging to the relationships and interactions and understanding both of women and men when you think like that. But the main thing is no one is better than the other person, okay? Especially not because of gender, because of nationality, because of race, because how they identify themselves. It has nothing to do with it. Everyone is their own individual person. And everyone is capable to be good to another person, and everyone has the right to want to see how you are with me, how you are treating me. Are you treating me the same way I'm treating you? Everyone has the right to experience that when they are deciding if they want to spend their life with someone, be it relationship or be it marriage. I don't see how is it beneficial to take the position of you are good, there's nothing wrong with you, and all you rest people need to prove yourself to me. That's just not a healthy relationship. It will never be. It immediately takes away the opportunity of you ever needing to work on your things. It takes away the opportunity for you ever to grow as a person. Because if you already have the mentality that you're the table and you don't need to put anything to the table, it's like a lost cause. This comes from this saying that a girlfriend is not a wife, right? If I'm your girlfriend, I'm not gonna do the wife things. Which, what does that even mean? What does it? What's different between you being a wife or a girlfriend? I think that's what confuses me, because I would expect that the behavior between the two people is the same, be it relationship or be it marriage. So it does make me wonder, like, what is the vision of someone? If someone believes that as a wife I'm someone else, what is that someone else, and how can you go from one thing to another thing? Like, what are those criterias? Unless it's like a list of things or a contract that as a wife I will do your laundry, but only if you as a man will bring this amount of money, and it has nothing to do with two people actually building a partnership. I don't understand when someone has the belief of you need to prove yourself to me, but I don't need to prove myself to you. Like, why don't you keep the same energy? If you're expecting that from someone else, then you yourself need to give something. Unless you think that just you looking the way you look is the thing that you bring. Yes, for very superficial people, that will probably not give you what you actually want, because what you said is that you want honesty, consistency. What was it? Yes, honesty, consistency, stability, maybe. If you want all of that, you're not going to get it from a guy that only appreciates how he gets you as you without even knowing who you are or what do you bring to the table. It doesn't make sense. And this whole conversation basically bursts the bubble of Isaac, of the lovely Kanya, who he introduced to his family or a cousin and friends. And he's starting to see who she truly is, which again shows that Isaac actually wants something totally different. His perspective is that he wants someone who will take care of him, who will cook for him, who will do all of these things. Honestly, we don't really get to see a lot about what Isaac is actually looking for, apart from these small snippets. But it does seem that he wants someone to take care of him, which Kanya is like, no. But people, we're gonna see the shit show that happens in the next video. Also, the reunion is next Friday, so I think I'm gonna wait until the reunion, and then I'm gonna kind of package everything in the second video. But until then, oh babe, I have so much to talk about. Carry in big. I know, I know. But one thing is true, and what we need to always think about is trust your individuality.